It's an amazing time to be a worship leader with all the resources available to you from MultiTracks, from Loop Community, Praise Charts, and apps like Ableton Live and Playback in Prime. It's absolutely incredible. But with all those resources, sometimes it's difficult to cut through the clutter. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out what does each site offer and what's the best version format of a song that you should get. So I'm excited to do part 2 of a 3-part series where we're walking through Loop Community, MultiTracks, and Praise Charts and talk about each type of resource and content that they offer for songs. So today we're diving into multitracks.com. And our previous video, which I've linked in the description in this video, we walked through Loop Community site and understanding the different file types available at Loop Community. And in our next video, we're going to walk through the different file types available at Praise Charts. In order to see that though, you've got to hit subscribe and you've got to hit the bell icon so you're notified when we post that content. But let's dive into the MultiTracks site and let's check out what they have. Now, I should mention, as a full disclaimer, I used to work for MultiTracks. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever anymore. I make zero money from them whatsoever anymore. And so the content I'm showing here, all my thoughts and opinions are just mine, which is kind of fun. It's a nice place to be able to openly share your thoughts and opinions. So here's what I'm going to do. I have searched for Homecoming by Bethel Music. I really like this song. This is a great song. And so I searched for this on MultiTracks site. And I just kind of want to walk through again the resources that are available here. Again, MultiTracks, similar to Loop Community and even Praise Charts, has a lot of different resources available for each song. And again, sometimes this can feel overwhelming because you're not sure where to start. You're not sure what each thing is, but I want to walk through those in this video. So the first thing, MultiTracks, one thing I do like about the site is there's this overview tab that kind of gives you an overview of each type of content. But then in each one of these tabs, you get kind of a overview of that specific type of content. So there are multi-tracks, which are the individual stems and session of that song, which is different formats you can get those in. And we'll talk about that in a moment, similar to Loop Community. There's custom mix, which is a way to essentially get accompaniment tracks or split tracks that you can get from MultiTracks. There's rehearsal mix, which you can't download these. It's a subscription-based thing, but this really is a cool utility if you want to rehearse, help your team prepare, help your team plan to step into rehearsal and really rehearse well. And so MultiTracks switching rehearsal mix to a subscription program is really, really great. I like rehearsal mix a lot, but it's not stems, right? It's the stem content, but for your team to rehearse with. And then charts released through Chart Builder. And there's again, a lot of different formats and different versions of this, and the charts blurred out, which it doesn't make any sense to me because I could download the chart for free from somewhere. So, but we got to blur it. And then we have sounds, and I should mention with charts, we'll dive into this maybe in a little bit. There's different versions of this, again, that you could get a subscription or you could download a PDF purchase of this. Sounds, which is great for individual sounds for different pieces of software, Mainstage, Ableton, whatever it is. If they have it, then it's available on this page. If they not, then if they don't, then they have a little tab here where you could say, hey, I would like this patch for Ableton Live. I'm looking for keys, guitar, drum, percussion, whatever, and requests. And that goes in their queue and they can decide if they get enough requests to release that, which is great. One thing that's nice with MultiTracks, similar to stem content, is a lot of times they'll have the original patches from the original artist, which is a really cool thing. To download a Hillsong song and have Peter James original patches is a really nice kind of cool thing to use. And so that's super beneficial and helpful. And then finally, you can download Pro Presenter files for this particular song. So again, another subscription that you could get, but you could download to subscribe to Chart Pro, which gets you this Pro Presenter file that you could grab and download, or you can purchase this and download this Pro Presenter file. Now, we're not going to walk through every single kind of resource here. Primarily, I want to talk about tracks and the different formats of tracks and the different versions of tracks available. So again, rehearsal mix is using tracks, but it's not something you can download and use for live performance. Let's go back to the overview tab and we'll walk through this. So first, let's look at accompaniment track. Okay. So if I go to accompaniment track, again, it's a little confusing. This isn't laid out well because there's no accompaniment track here. But if I click on this, I click 8 credits. 8 credits is because I'm logged into the site and I'm logged into my account actually. And I have some credits purchased. So it's showing me credits. I'm gonna actually go to the site here. Let's show you this and let's look at this without being logged in. And you'll see the price there. So $8. So if I'm looking at an accompaniment track, with an accompaniment track, you get 3 keys. The original, I think 1 up or down or below, kind of based on whatever the key of the song is. But I could click an accompaniment track. You get an M4A download. It's again made from the original thing, which is cool. You get a version that's with and without background vocals, and then you get 3 keys included. Okay. So that's, an accompaniment track, which is great. It's a stereo file that we could download and use. We do not get the click with this though. So that's not what we want if we want to use this on stage with tracks. If I want to use this on stage for tracks, then I need to go, if I want the cheapest version of this that I can use on stage with tracks, then I'm going to go to custom mix. So what we're going to do in a second, we're going to walk through all these and I'm going to actually purchase all of these and look at the version, the way they come down, and we'll compare all the different files here in just a second. So again, accompaniment track is not really for live performance with a click, if that makes sense. If you're just going to sing with this as an accompaniment track, that's what you would do there. So we most likely are not going to use this. Custom mix though, starts at $12. We can go in here and we can download either a Wave custom mix or an M4A custom mix. This is really similar to Loop Community. MultiTracks did do this first. Loop Community kind of not copied it, but made their kind of version of this. But custom mix is pretty cool. What you can do is you can go and kind of mix all your tracks how you want to. Decide that, we're never going to use drums, so we'll take that out. We don't need effects, so we'll mute that. Or we're going to adjust the level, adjust the pan if we want to. Or we can click auto pan to put all our clicking guide to the left and tracks to the right. This is only for the preview because what's really cool with custom mix is you can customize things. You could create an accompaniment track if you want to, or you get a stereo track. And you'll see when we download this, actually, this is a better way to show this. What you get is you get the click track separated, you get the guide separated, you get your custom mix file separated, and then you get a split track. So if you're not really savvy in Ableton Live and you don't want to try to split this and you just want click on the left and guide on the left and all your track content on the right, this is a pretty cool way to do that. Okay, so that's custom mix. So I will say, if you're looking for the most inexpensive way to get like the original multi-track content for a song, if that's what you're interested in and that's what you're looking for, then custom mix is the best way to do that. Now, you don't get the separation. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself because we'll look at file types here in a moment. You don't get the separation that you get with stems, and so I don't often suggest this as the best path, but again, what you do get is you get a lot of options here: individual click and guide, and then your stereo custom mix file, and then your custom mix auto pan file as well too, which is great. Now, one thing that is really cool with custom mix that I appreciate that MultiTracks does is if I purchase a custom mix, then I can pay an upgrade price to get the full multi-track. And I'll show you that after I purchase this content. You'll see kind of how my account changes. And that's $12 for M4A, $15 for a Wave. Let's go back to overview here. Next we have AppTrack. AppTrack is really similar. Let's see, I already forgot, what's Loop Community call this? Loop Community calls their kind of AppTrack version. Let's go in here. They call it Master Tracks. It's going, they call it in-app, right? So I forgot. I just did the video for Loop Community. I already forgot. Loop Community calls it in-app, which means it's available in Prime. MultiTracks calls this AppTrack. And so again, I mean, this is labeled pretty well. MultiTrack for use exclusively in playback. So that starts at about $29. I just added that to my cart, even though I'm not going to buy that because I'm not using playback. But the AppTrack, this is where, again, it gets confusing. It's hard to understand. There's so many options that it's overwhelming. The AppTrack is the same exact version as the MultiTrack, but the AppTrack is only available in playback. Right. I do not suggest buying this as an option because I would suggest that you would buy the multi-track so that if you were to ever use Ableton Live, if you were to ever use Logic, Pro Tools, or something like that, you have the download file as well as the AppTrack. Now, I believe you may be able to upgrade from AppTrack to MultiTrack. So maybe I'll go ahead and purchase this. Again, we'll do all this in just a moment. We'll recap everything at the end. Now, to make it even more confusing, let's go into MultiTrack. It says starting at $31 here. And this is, I should mention, the thing that's unique with MultiTracks from Praise Charts or Loop Community is every song on the site is from the original artist. Now, that may or may not matter to you, but I think it's a unique and cool thing because it's Bethel, it's Hillsong, it's whoever recorded the song. It's their original version from the studio. It's their version from the live record that MultiTracks has. It's a pretty cool, unique thing. Loop Community has some original master content as well too, but that's like MultiTracks' main thing, which is a great that they have that. Now here's where it starts to be a little more confusing. So we go to the MultiTracks tab here on the song page. And you'll notice, again, we have AppTrack that was mentioned to us here before, but then we have a couple different tabs here. Let's start over at Rent. Let's skip download for a second. All right, let's see what's in more. More is, I guess, it's just info. If we go to Rent, we can rent this MultiTrack, but it's exclusively in playback, and real subscriptions start at $59.99. Now, if you're using playback, that's a great way to get started. You don't build a catalog. It's kind of like leasing a car versus owning a car. It's a great way to get a lot of stuff really quickly, but it's not a great long-term play. Right. So, playback rentals is great. If you're using playback, if you're not using playback, then just skip it. There's no reason to even talk about it. So if I'm using Ableton and I want to get MultiTracks from multitracks.com, then I could go to MultiTracks and go to download here. Now, again, MultiTracks' biggest sin is just endless options. Like the options never end. At some point you're like, I just want a multitrack. Let me purchase a multitrack. But I could go to the MultiTracks tab here, go to download, and I have a WAV version and an M4A version. Now the M4A version is cheaper, but it's only cheaper by $4. I wish they would just offer WAV files and just drop the price. Like just drop the price to the M4A file and get rid of them. Again, it's just like options. I think it's too many options, particularly. That's my personal opinion. But when I download this, you do get 12 keys included. My personal preference, and I talk about this on the site from Studio to Stage in our Tracks 201, 301 course, as well as our Leading Worship with Ableton Live course. I talk about how I just download the original key and I change the key in Ableton Live. The proprietary, or not proprietary, but the software that MultiTracks uses to change keys does do a better job than the Ableton Live pitch change stuff, but it's not worth downloading 12 keys and formatting a song 12 times and re-adding to your set if you want to change keys. I just change key in my live set. It's not worth storing 12 files for 12 different keys. So when it comes to MultiTracks, I have a couple different options. Let's recap all this and then I'll spend some money, because I'm a man of the people and I'm a servant of the people. I'm here to spend money, to solve problems, to figure things out for all of us. But let's do a recap and then I'll purchase some content and we'll come back and we'll look at what we get. So when I want to get MultiTracks to use live on stage, and I go to multitracks.com, or let's even say when I'm looking for content from multitracks.com to use on stage for tracks, here's the options I have. One, do not use an accompaniment track because it does not include all the file types that we need. Okay. Purchase a custom mix, because when I purchase a custom mix, one of the options I get is an accompaniment track. If you need that, just go ahead and purchase a custom mix and you can get all that. And you don't even have to mix things, just leave it the way it is. But I get the option for custom mix. And again, because we have to give you more options than any human possibly would need, you can get a WAV version or an M4A version. Again, I personally wish it was just WAV and we got rid of M4A and we moved on. But custom mix is our lowest cost option if we're going to perform on stage with it, which makes sense. If we're looking for stem, so we're looking for separation, which is the best option, and we're using Ableton, we're using a software other than playback. If I'm using playback, then you could get the AppTrack. You could do playback rentals if you wanted to. But instead of just doing the AppTrack, I want to do the download version of this. And again, more options than we need. We have WAV or M4A. Just get the WAV version. Just call it a day. Get the WAV version and we could download that. And the pricing depends on the song, but typically like $35 is kind of typically the range that you'll find songs in. Again, when I go back to my site logged in, my account logged in, you'll see on MultiTrack here, instead of $35, it'll say 35 credits, because a credit essentially equals $1. I can buy credit bundles to save when I purchase content, which is the cheapest way to buy content on MultiTracks, which that's a separate video for another day that we'll talk about. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop off. I'm going to purchase this content, and then we'll come back and we'll look at all the content that we downloaded, what we get with it, and we'll compare those file types. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm still purchasing content, but I thought I want to start at the lowest possible level here. And I do want to show you something that I do like about MultiTracks that they do in particular. So I went ahead and I purchased the accompaniment track, and I know I told you not to, but again, I want to compare this to the other products. So I purchased the accompaniment track. I could click download here, and I get this tab to download the file. And we'll download that in a second and look at it. But again, one of the things that I do like that MultiTracks does, and I hope they continue this, is there's an upgrade option here. And when I click upgrade, I have the option to upgrade to a custom mix version of this file, which is, again, that's the lowest common denominator, the cheapest version you should get if you're using tracks. I just wanted to try this out and compare it. So I do get the option to upgrade to a custom mix, which I'll do in just a moment. And then what you'll see is when I purchase my custom mix, I'll have an option to upgrade to multi-track, and you're only paying the difference, which is great. You're not losing any money by doing this, which is cool. So if you really have time and you're someone who likes collecting things and you want every version of every possible file, then you could buy an accompaniment track, buy custom mix, and buy multi-tracks, which is just stupid. You shouldn't do that, because with custom mix, you get an accompaniment track. We talked about all that. Okay, I'm going to keep buying content. I'm going to upgrade this just to show you kind of the process and get my custom mix. I'll get my multi-track, and then we'll be right back and take a look at that. Okay, so all my files have downloaded. Here's what I got. I got 3 different file versions. Again, I'm a man of the people, so I wanted to make this super easy to understand. I told you not to get an accompaniment track, but I bought an accompaniment track so we could kind of have that as base level, then a custom mix, and then a full multi-track. So let's look at the individual files available for each of these. So first, let's go into our accompaniment track. Like I mentioned, you get the original key, a key below, and one key above, right? So a half step below and half step above. So let's go into our original key. We get 2 different files here. This first file has our background vocals included, right? So it's the full recording, everything with background vocals included, but with no click. And then this other file is the full song with no background vocals. And I should mention, just to clarify, no lead vocals as well too. So because this doesn't have click or guide, it's not something that we could play along with a band, but it may be useful if it's like a smaller kids ministry or a recovery ministry or something, to where you don't have a band, but you have someone who's a great worship leader. Maybe they don't play an instrument. You could just purchase accompaniment tracks from multitracks.com to use, which is really cool. So that's a great feature. Now let's look at our custom mix, because if we're going to play and use this content with a band live on stage, we have to have a click. It's nice to have a guide. Custom mix is our kind of lowest entry level for that. So we'll go into custom mix here. With custom mix, you get 1 key. Unless you pay for Cloud Pro, then you get all the additional keys, but just download the 1 key. You don't have to go pay money to get additional keys, because we're going to change the key in Ableton Live. Right. And we'll talk, I should mention, that's a whole separate video, a whole nother day. We'll come back to that and talk about that. But here's what we get. So first off, we get a version here that if I play this just for a brief second, you'll hear we get click and guide on the left, and then all our tracks content is on the right. So that's like a split track. So that's click and guide and then tracks on the right. But if we're using this in Ableton Live, the version we should use is we have a click track that's discrete and separated, a guide track that's discrete and separated, and then a stereo mix of all of our content minus click and guide. So what we could do is, if you have an interface that has at least 4 outputs, we could send click separate, guide separate, and then our stems is a stereo content, which is great. Or not our stems, all of our tracks, all of our song content as stereo outputs, which is great. So custom mix is a good entry point. I do suggest, though, if at all possible, if you can afford it, use the multi-track stem version, because you get separate stems of content. So if I open this up, you'll see a few different things. We'll talk about this in a moment, different things you see. But if I go into this multi-tracks file, you get all the original stems for this, which is great. Again, this is from the original artist, from their original recording, whether it's in the studio or it was on the stage, that make a great company name. And you get all those stems separated out, which is cool. So this is the most flexibility you get. But And I should mention, I downloaded just one key. You get access to every single key, but just download one key and you can change key in Ableton Live. It's no need to download and keep 12 different files on your hard drive of the same song. Here's why I love, and I think if you're a worship leader using stems, using MultiTracks in Ableton Live, you should buy your content from multitracks.com because when you buy that content, you get an Ableton Live session. So if I double click this, again, not only do I get those stems here that I could use in whatever software, I get a Ableton Live session fully formatted. If you have tempo changes, I don't think this song has tempo changes. Let's see. But if we go here, yeah, so it's a consistent tempo. So I don't get tempo changes, but I do get all my stems loaded in, named nice and neatly. I do get locators, which is great. So again, if you're looking for the most flexibility, freedom, and you're a worship leader using content in Ableton Live, buy your content from multitracks.com. I'll link to a video that I did a long time ago about where should worship leaders find their MultiTracks files. Spoiler alert, multitracks.com. Because of this Ableton session, getting this is a great place. But once you get that, you're going to need to format that file and you're going to need to build a set with your formatted files. And in order to do that, you need a template. So what I would encourage you to head to FromStudio2Stage.com/template, download my free tracks template that's going to allow you to save your tempo with your songs, to save your markers and your song sections with your song, and then really quickly build a set with that template. And I have a full, almost hour-long tutorial where I show you how to format content purchased from multitracks.com using that template, and then a 5-part series where I show you how to build a set using content purchased from MultiTracks or Loop Community or Praise Charts or downloaded for free from Life Church's open network. So if you want that and to see all that, again, head to FromStudio2Stage.com/template. Also, thanks so much for watching this tutorial. I appreciate it. I do a new tutorial every day, 10 a.m. Central. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified when I post new content, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. And again, make sure you subscribe so you see our walkthrough of the Praise Charts site here next. Take care. Bye.